The mess hall aboard the UGC Harmony fell silent as Commander Zexthul entered, his forearms carrying a steaming bowl of nutrient paste. The Catherian war hero's silver carapace bore fresh scars from the recent battle against the Void Syndicate, and his compound eyes swept across the room with the practiced awareness of someone who had seen too much combat. "Commander!" called out Lieutenant Vorth, a young Palaxian whose blue skin still held the unmarked smoothness of someone new to war. "Come sit with us." Zexthul approached the table where several junior officers had gathered. Besides Vorth, there was Ensign Kral, a massive Urgoth whose tusks gleamed in the artificial light, and Flight Officer Yanara, whose crystalline Zephyrian form chimed softly with each movement. "We were just discussing the strangest species we've encountered," Yanara said, her voice like wind through crystal caves. "Lieutenant Vorth here claims the Saurians are the most bizarre." "Bizarre?" Kral snorted, his deep voice rumbling. "Have you seen a Saurian try to eat? They dislocate their jaws. Now that's disturbing." The group laughed, but Zexthul remained quiet, methodically consuming his meal. His silence didn't go unnoticed. "What about you, Commander?" Vorth pressed. "In all your campaigns, what's the strangest species you fought alongside?" Zexthul set down his eating utensil, all four eyes focusing on the young Palaxian. "Humans." The word hung in the air like a death sentence. The laughter died instantly. "Humans?" Yanara's form flickered with confusion. "But they're one of the most normal species in the Coalition. Bilateral symmetry, single heart, standard respiratory system. That's what makes them so terrifying," Zexthul said quietly. "They look ordinary. Weak even. When I first saw them, I thought they were some kind of clerical error. How had such fragile beings survived long enough to achieve spaceflight?" Kral leaned forward, intrigued. "But they're excellent soldiers. My instructor said their military efficiency is remarkable." "Efficient?" Zexthul's mandibles clicked in what might have been bitter amusement. "Yes, they are that." He paused, seemingly lost in memory. "I served with them during the Proxima Siege. 14 standard months of brutal urban warfare against the hegemony forces." The junior officers waited, sensing a story that would change how they viewed their human allies forever. "There was this human sergeant," Zexthul continued. "Sarah Chen, small even by human standards, maybe 60 kilograms, barely reaching my thorax. She had these dark eyes that seemed too large for her head, and she spoke softly, politely. I assumed she was some kind of support staff." He took a sip of water before continuing. "On the third day of the siege, we were pinned down in a collapsed building. Hegemony shock troopers had us surrounded, 3-meter-tall killing machines with plasma cannons and tactical shields. We were discussing surrender terms when Sergeant Chen asked me how many grenades I had left." "What did you tell her?" Vorth whispered. 2 thermal charges and a smoke grenade." She nodded, said that should be enough, and then... Zexthul's voice trailed off. "She removed her sidearm and shot herself in the leg." The table erupted in shocked gasps, but Zexthul held up a hand for silence. "I thought she had lost her mind." But then she started screaming, not in pain but in rage. Pure animalistic fury. She triggered the smoke grenade and crawled out into the corridor, dragging her wounded leg behind her, still screaming. The hegemony troopers must have thought it was some kind of distress signal because they came to investigate. That's when Chen activated the thermal charges she had somehow gotten from me without my noticing. The explosion brought down half the building. Kral's tusks chattered nervously. She used herself as bait while wounded?" "That's not even the terrifying part," Zexthul said. "When the dust settled, I found her in the rubble. She had not only survived, but she had used debris to fashion a tourniquet and was methodically checking the hegemony bodies for intelligence. She looked up at me with those dark eyes and asked if I had a field medical kit." "She treated her own combat wound?" Yanara's crystal form dimmed with disbelief. "While humming," Zexthul confirmed. "Some ancient human melody about warfare. When I asked her why she had done something so reckless, she said it was standard improvised tactics." Standard. The mess hall around them had grown quiet, other soldiers unconsciously leaning in to hear the story. "But that's just one example," Zexthul continued. "During that same siege, I watched humans do things that still wake me from sleep cycles. I saw a human medic run into plasma fire to retrieve a wounded Catherian, someone from my own species, while her own intestines were hanging from a shrapnel wound. I saw a human demolitions expert manually hold a breached hull seal while toxic atmosphere vented around him, keeping 17 of us alive until repairs could be made. He lost consciousness from poisoning but never let go. Fourth's blue skin had paled to almost white. Why do they do these things? That's what I asked Chen during one of our rare quiet moments. She looked confused by the question. She said, "We're all in this together, right?" As if it was obvious. As if throwing away their lives for others was the most natural thing in the universe. Zexthul stood, his meal barely touched. You want to know what's truly terrifying about humans? It's not their weapons or their tactics or their technology. It's that they have somehow convinced themselves that self-sacrifice is normal, that dying for others is expected. They have weaponized empathy itself. He began to walk away, then paused and looked back at the stunned junior officers. When this war ends, remember this conversation. Remember that the soft-spoken, polite humans who serve you tea and ask about your families are the same species that will voluntarily walk into hell if they think it might save one of us. They are the most dangerous beings in the galaxy, and thank the void they're on our side. As Commander Zexthul left the mess hall, the junior officers sat in contemplative silence, each lost in their own thoughts about the ordinary-looking humans serving alongside them. In the distance, they could hear human laughter echoing from another section of the ship, a sound that would never seem quite the same again.